man. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Execution Pipeline, moving business ideas from dream to reality. This is Future by Design, basically making your dreams come true. And here's the deal. I am, last week we went over steps 1 through 5, and we actually had some great feedback. So people actually were starting to move and reassess and repurpose what they're doing. And so today we're going to keep moving on and just get through chapter 1. As a quick recap, the first 5 steps was number 1, you want to establish your concept. During that question, you wanted to ask yourself why, what exactly is your concept? This is where you take the idea and actually develop a concept from it so you can actually have something clear that you're looking to accomplish. Then you want to discover your inspiration. What inspired your concept in the first place? You always want to be able to come back to your why, because there's going to be a point in time where you're going to get past the enthusiasm, and then you're going to get to the point where you're like, okay, what's continuing to push me forward? Number 3, you want to align the concept with your core values. This is a question you want to ask. How does your concept align with your core values? Does it something that you can stand behind? How does it align with who you are? Number 4, you want to prepare to sacrifice. You got to actually count the cost before you get started with the new idea. It's a question you want to ask, what will you have to give up to proceed with this concept? Typically, you have to trade something, because up until this point, you've been doing something with your time. And so what are you going to give up in order to have more time to develop this concept, which has spawned from this new idea that you have? And then number 5, you want to assess your motives. How hard would you work to implement this concept if you were not getting paid for it? This is how you know if this is really your purpose. Because I think all of us have plenty of good ideas along the way, but it's really the things that we can really stand behind, those things that we would do regardless if somebody paid us for or not, that we know is kind of right up our wheelhouse. So how hard would you work to implement this concept for free? Because quite honestly, in the beginning, you might not be getting paid a whole lot to do this new idea, but over time, if you stick with it, I believe that you can be successful. So what we're doing, guys, we're going through the book, The Execution Pipeline. It's by Anthony Flynn. The next book that I recommend, you can get it on the recommended read section from my website, www.ergj.net. I believe this is a phenomenal book that can help you develop a strategy towards turning your idea from a dream to reality. It gives you a step-by-step guide, and this is what we're going through, and hopefully it helps you to turn your business ideas from a dream to reality, to put some things into place so that you can actually have a successful business. All right, so step number 6, here's where we are today, guys. Step number 6 is you want to consider your qualifications. Consider your qualifications. Now, the 10,000 hour rule, I don't know if you guys heard of that before, says you have to spend 8 to 10 years, depending upon the number of hours you work each week, honing a skill. So if you combine your new venture to a skill you practiced the last decade of your life, your odds of success increase. Now, success is still not guaranteed, but the odds of success in a venture are stronger when you've invested thousands of hours perfecting the skills needed to be considered an expert in a particular area of focus. Now, this is kind of key, I think, because I think the world, or this is corporate America, teaches you to be a multitasker, teaches you to be a jack of all trades. But we find that people that can specialize in some particular area typically have much more success because they're focused on one particular thing and they become an expert in that one particular thing. Now, that doesn't mean that person doesn't have other streams of income or other things that they do, but they do have one particular thing that they do extremely well. And you got to ask yourself, what is that one thing for you? Now, young phenomenons like Mark Zuckerberg or Justin Bieber have made sudden success seem possible. Along with that, today's social media culture also gives these celebrities the appearance of overnight success. But in reality, even they spent hours perfecting their craft. Justin Bieber actually started playing drums when he was about 4 years old. Now, I argue that the typical overnight success story takes approximately 10 years to build. So if you haven't already invested a significant amount of time becoming an expert in your area of interest, you can expect a lot of long hours, sleepless nights, and mistakes along the way. It comes with the territory of success in this capacity. Once you choose to develop a particular set of skills, you can use these to differentiate yourself from your competitors. The bottom line is you have to take time to think about what makes you an expert in the space where you're competing. So here's a question you want to ask as it relates to considering your qualifications. Why do you think you are the best person to implement this concept? Why do you think you are the best person to implement this concept? So think about the things that you want to do, guys, and then think about, is this an area that you are going to become an expert in? Because once you become an expert in the area, I like to call that branding. You branded yourself as an expert in this particular area. And just by branding yourself properly, you'll bring forth more clientele. You'll bring forth more support for what it is that you're doing. But when you haven't branded yourself in any particular area, then, no one really goes to someone for everything. They go to someone for something in particular. And you got to ask yourself, why would someone call on you? What is that particular thing that someone would call on you for to pay you for some service or some product that you brought into the world? And that comes back to your concept, and that comes back to how much time have you really invested to make whatever it is that you're doing successful. Know that it's not going to happen overnight. No, but it will happen, and it can happen, and it will happen if you invest the time to make it a success. So why do you think you are the best person to implement this concept that you have? That's a question that you can feel free to answer in the comments below. We also this is an open forum as well. So if you want to jump into a seat, you can as well. Have a conversation with me live. That's fine as well. But we're talking about the execution pipeline, turning your business idea from a dream to reality. We got like 80 something steps. We're only on step 6, but we're making it along the way. I'm going to try to go through 5 steps a night. We're probably going to just go through 8 today and then actually be through with chapter 1, which is developing a focused concept. So what we're doing is we're getting focused on what it is that we want to do, or we're refocusing on something that we're already doing. And that was step number 6. All right. So step number 7 is you want to leverage your competitive advantages. So you focused, or you considered your qualifications. You found out what makes you unique, or what makes you an expert in your field. And now you want to leverage your competitive advantages. Now, if you're anything like me, you're running too fast to stop and evaluate your accomplishments. But you should never rush past statistics that could influence your future success. Although your sight should focus on the future, you should keep the past somewhere in the periphery. As the saying goes, history can be indicative of future success. If you don't track your history, you have no benchmarks to measure your capacity for future success. Again, if you don't track your history, you have no benchmark to measure your capacity for future success. So don't become so obsessed with your accomplishments, however, that you fail to innovate, create, or work harder than your competitors. If you ever forget these qualities, your venture will suffer. You know that devastating effects of self-satisfaction if you ever sat with someone who spends all his time talking about his success. You guys ever been around somebody that all they do is talk about how good they are about something? Never a good thing to be around those type of people. So it's people who actually have done what they talk about don't have to spend time convincing others of what they have accomplished. If you constantly fight to stay ahead of your competitors, your success will speak for itself. So again, guys, we're talking about now step number 7, which is really leverage your competitive advantages. So you're taking your idea from concept to reality. Now we're talking about we've established who we are. We established what makes us great, what makes us stand out. And now we want to start tracking our history along the way so we can always refer back and also show a track record. This is why testimonials are so good, because testimonials tell other people what other people have said about you and your business and your idea and your service or your product, whatever it is that you're doing. So that's a good way to keep track. If you can keep track of just feedback, that's going to be a great third-party resource to present to investors, to present to future business partners, all types of stuff, because now you've got this army of people that have said something great about what you do, and that can influence other people to jump on your bandwagon. So you want to carve out some time, some reflection time, to list your personal offerings and assets. Do this at least every quarter. Although monthly or weekly assessment might be necessary, you don't want to steal time away from high-level production just to build yourself up. But you need the time away from the hands-on work to ensure that you're documenting information that can contribute to your business. Now, here's the deal. This is very key because I think many of us, especially if you're an entrepreneur, you get so busy working and producing that you don't take time to reflect. In one of my other shows, we talk about the law of reflection. It's actually carving out some time to capture your moments. And that's exactly what he's saying here in his book, is that even as you produce, even as you go forward, even as you're marketing, you're branding, even as you're building your business, you got to take some time to pause to capture the good that you're already doing. Because if you don't, you'll lose sight of it. You'll forget. You won't have really much to come back to. It's kind of like a journal that you do in your regular life. You're like, oh, I had a good day today, and you remember it, and it helps you when you start to hit that next ceiling, because you're going to hit a ceiling. It's going to always happen. You're going to hit something that's going to challenge you to go to the next level. And all of this stuff that you track along the way is going to push you forward to overcome that hurdle, because you remember the first hurdle. You remember the second hurdle. You remember third, fourth, fifth, and the 77th hurdle. And so this 80th hurdle that you're going to come across, because you will come across it, it ain't going to be nothing to you because you've tracked your history and you see just how far you've come along the process towards the success of your particular idea. Now, in the nonprofit world, for example, statistics are everything. If you're not capturing metrics, you're essentially non-existent. As evidence, entire teams, divisions, and even companies exist for the sole purpose of capturing nonprofit success stories and metrics. Long-term sustainability depends on this type of documentation, as founders require evidence of progress. Again, we're talking about evidence. Now, I remember for myself, I'm not really good at keeping track and keeping records, but I did do one thing well, even in my life in sales, is I had what I call an evidence manual. And in my evidence manual, I had all of my certificates. I might be able to pull it up. I don't even know if it's close to me. I had all of my certificates. I had all of the customer feedback. I had all of the pictures. And it was just in a little folder binder with clear paper. And I keep it to this day. And so I can always go back to this thing like, man, I accomplished this. I did this back in, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. It's like, it just boosts me up to remember what I was thinking about back then and how it's helped to shape who I am today. So as you think about moving forward with your idea, as you think about turning that thing from a dream to reality, you want to remember that along the way, you want to track your history. Matter of fact, if you read the Bible, Jesus, he would say something to the disciples. He said that, do you not remember us feeding the fish? It's almost like he would remind them of the miracles that he's already accomplished or that they've seen him do while he was walking the earth. And he'd be like, y'all don't remember like what happened like 2 days ago? Because we tend to forget. It's, a short pencil is better than a long memory. You want to jot this stuff down and keep that stuff for you to be able to refer to as evidence. I mean, how many of you guys are keeping track? How many of you guys have evidence of your success? How many of you guys have evidence of your success? Now, here's the deal. It's easy to remember the bad stuff that's happened in your life. That's easy to do because it had this emotional connection. It's like, oh man, it really hurt, right? But how often do you recall all of the great things that are happening in your life? The things that make you smile, the things that give you that tears of joy. Again, it's easy to remember the stuff that didn't go well or didn't go as planned or came out of the blue. But I'm telling you, if you create a praise journal of all the good things that are happening in your life, you're going to find yourself finding more good things happening because you're focusing on the good. You're focusing on the positive. You're recalling all of the positive. Now, you remember the bad or the negative or whatever, but you remember it because you learned something from it. And that turns that into a positive as well, because you're like, okay, that didn't go out as planned, but I learned something from it. For example, I'm going through something right now. We built our whole website. Okay. It's looking good. It's ready to roll, but it's not mobile compatible or not mobile friendly. So when I look at it on my PC, I'm thinking I'm good. But then when someone pulls it up on their phone, not so good. So now I'm dealing with revamping my whole website after I thought I finally was done. because it's not mobile friendly. And I'm like, I understand that nowadays most people are getting on the internet with their phone. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're changing the theme. But now that I'm changing the theme, I've got all new ideas on rearranging stuff, because it's a different theme. So at any rate, yeah, we're changing the theme. It's still gonna be off the chain. But I'm saying that to say that it was a learning experience for me, because when I talked to the web developers, they was like, hey, if you'd have thought about that in the beginning, then they would have conquered that. They would have wrapped that into the development. But since it's kind of along the way, we're changing the theme, and therefore it's going to change the look of the website, which I'm okay with. But it's also going to make sure that now when people log in on their phone, they get the same experience. And for those that know me, all I deal with is dynamic. If it's not dynamic, we're not doing it. So I was upset, not upset. I was just like, okay, how can I get it done? Now, here's the deal. Along the way to getting it done, that's another hurdle, right? So I'm like, man, I didn't realize, because I never look at it on my phone. I'm always on my PC. Today is Website Wednesday. And so I'm just working on it. And someone hit me up and said, hey, I knew that something was wrong with the mobile version, but I didn't know it was that bad. So when I looked at it today on my phone, I was like, we can't do this. This ain't going to work. And she was like, yeah, you're a guy, you're a professional guy. I just want to let you know. I'm like, thank you so much for letting me know. I got people that love me enough to tell me the truth. Do y'all got people in y'all life that love you enough to tell you the truth? Oh, my goodness. I love it so much. I'm glad I got people in my life who love me enough to tell me the truth. All right. So I was like, okay, now how can we do this? So I called one person. I was like, way too expensive. I'm like, I can't do all that. That's too much. He's like, we got to rebuild it. We got to do all that. I was like, really? You got to do all that? But then I found someone today who was like, hey, just like you said, Ms. Natural Aroma, all you got to do is change the theme, and they're working on it as we speak, and hopefully we'll be back up and ready to rock and roll tomorrow. So I'm excited. I'm ready to, whoo, it's been a day. Website Wednesday, man. But hey, it's worth it, guys. All right. So I'm saying that to say that if even something as simple as that, right? For most people, it can throw them off. For most people, it crashes their whole day, and they're ready to just say, forget it. This is not for me. I'm saying, I remember all the stuff that I've gone through up to this point that's brought me here. And one little thing about something not being mobile friendly is not going to stop me from moving forward. We're going to keep finding a way, and things are going to continue to happen. And that's exactly what happened today. So as you are moving forward, and as you are progressing, and as you're having production in your life, you want to make sure that you have a track record of your success. It's very important, because we'll lose sight of all the good things that we've overcome up to this point, and we can get deflated when we run against the next obstacle, only because we haven't kept track of our success. What's going on, Ryan? Thanks so much for joining. So you want to have evidence. You want to keep track of that. You want to take moments to pause. All right. So when calculating your metrics and determining your greatest assets, start with your competitive advantages. Some possible advantages you might have include any successful projects or businesses you started, initiatives you've piloted, education, work history, community service, or noteworthy connections. Assets can even include mistakes or challenges if you have empirical or anecdotal data to show how you overcame them. Take some time to make a list of your greatest assets along with your competitive advantages. Then, when you're competing for a large contract, submitting an application for a large grant, or aiming to lure a large customer away from a competitor, you'll know just what to emphasize. So on this point, number 7 of leveraging your competitive advantages, the question you want to ask is, what are the competitive advantages you can leverage? What are the competitive advantages that you can leverage? So for those who are just joining, this is a show we do. I'm starting a new show we're doing every Wednesday night on how to turn your business ideas from dreams to reality. We're going through the book. It's called Execution Pipeline. It's a step-by-step guide on turning your ideas from dreams to realities by Anthony Flynn. I recommend you get this book. It's 84 steps. So it's basically about 17 weeks. I think we'll be going through this. And this is really to help the aspiring entrepreneur, This is to help someone that has a new idea and they maybe didn't go through a process or didn't have a guide along the way as they're looking to expand what they currently do. And you can actually get this book through my website, www.ergj.net. When I came across this book, I was like, wow, this is right on time, because as for many of you, just like me, you got some huge things that you want to do. And so even right now, I want you to think about the next big thing that you want to do. And what I'm doing is I'm using this time that I have with you. I'm going to call this my business mastermind group to actually go through this process along with you, because my big dream is to build a school. I don't know what yours is, but that's my big idea. And so I'm going to use this book and use the time that we spend together and let you hold me accountable to getting this thing done as we go through this 17-week process. But at the same time, I'm going to challenge you to go after your big next big idea and use this same process, use this time that we have together each and every Wednesday night to bring your next big idea to reality. Is that cool, guys? Give me some props if you're down with that. If you're down with FBD, which is Future by Design, let me know, man, because we can really do this. Now, the seats are open because it's not a me show, it's a we show. So there may be some things that you can add to the conversation of the points that we're going to talk about as we go through this book today. So if you want to join the seat, feel free to do so. Or if you just want to type in the comments below, feel free to do so as well. But think about right now, and if you want to type, give me at least one or two in the comments below for those that don't want to join in the hot seat. Tell me, what are the competitive advantages, or give me at least one competitive advantage that you can leverage. Now, I'll tell you mine. When I think about one competitive advantage that I have in what I do now, which is teaching financial literacy classes to the schools, is that we do live online and live in-class presentations. That's the competitive advantage that I have. Most people are just putting their content online and having people do a self-paced course. Well, I found that many people will buy the course, but they still won't take the course. So by doing a live presentation, you can make sure that people that actually join your webinar are actually going through the process of learning this financial education. So that's the competitive advantage that I bring. And then I also bring dynamic. It's more conversation than it is just sit still and we instill. We actually have conversations along the way, just like we're doing tonight as we go through learning. Ryan, what's going on, brother?
It's going all right. How's it going with you?
I'm doing all right, man. So you want to tell us what business you're in and tell us, or maybe tell us what business you're in. Tell us maybe the next big idea you're going after, and then give us one competitive advantage that you think you can leverage.
Okay. So my business, I own a digital agency, and pretty much if people want to start a website or they need branding done or they need consultation, I have a one-stop shop. They go onto my website and then we kind of facilitate on my site. And the next question was, what's the next big project that I'm working on? I'm actually writing a play, and I'm looking.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, I'm writing because I do music and stuff. So I'm trying to sell my music in a different way, and I think that I just don't want to be like any other MC and they just go up and go. Ooh. I want you to actually see a storyline, and I've done it in the past and people love it, so I want to actually make it into a full production. That's a side project that I'm working on. And
so what's the competitive advantage that you can leverage? That's cool, man.
My competitive advantage is that I'm multi-talented. Like I do graphic design, I do video editing, I do scoring and music and whatnot. So I can just leverage my talents. I don't necessarily have to go outward to bring people on. I can get a lot of the fundamentals of the project up and running, and then I can bring on people once I have the concepts and whatnot.
Fantastic, guys. So if you guys, anybody else would like to share, you can feel free to do so in the seat, or you can feel free to do so in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. Again, the question is, what do you do currently? What's your next big idea that you want to work on? Because again, the goal of this show is to help you get that dream, that idea to reality. And then what do you think are your competitive advantages? You can name one or two as it relates to the next big thing that you're looking to accomplish. So I'll give you some time. I know I talk faster than you type, and that's cool. But hopefully you guys are getting something out of this. So just to kind of recap again, the first step was and this was from last week, the first step was you want to establish your concept. This is where you take the idea and actually you start writing it down and you get a clear picture of what it is that you want to do. The next step is you want to discover your inspiration. You want to kind of know why it is that you're doing what you're doing, right? I mean, what is the big why? The next thing, you want to align your concept with your core values. Does this fit you and who you are and who you have developed yourself to be? Next, you want to prepare to sacrifice. Like this thing here, you got to ask yourself, what are the costs? What are you going to have to give up in order for you to actually go after the thing that you want to create? A lot of times it's time. You're using your time right now for something. You're going to have to cut time out of something that you're doing right now in order to devote some time to the new thing that you want to develop. Then next, you want to assess your motives. You want to assess your motives behind this. You got to ask yourself, are you truly passionate about this idea that you have, so much so that you'd be willing to do it for free? Because there's going to be times where you're not going to get paid for the work that you do, especially in the development phase. It's not until you actually have the full product that you can actually start selling it out. Then you want to consider your qualifications. We just talked about this. Typically, you're great at something. And it's something that you've probably been doing for quite some time. Just like Ryan said, he's been writing plays. He's got this thing for music. I'd imagine, Ryan, you've been doing music for a long time. That brings about this idea that you want to express it in a different manner, right? Mm-hmm. How long you been in music?
Since 2002.
2002, right? So the book told us about 7 to 10 years, and he's been doing that for quite a while. So consider your qualifications. And so Noel said, I feel I haven't found my talent to leverage and hone in on. I have a passion to enlighten others and believe in living a limitless life, but how can I sell that? Oh my goodness. You putting us to the test today. You know what, Noel? I think you overlook some of your talents. I think that's what it is. I think, and that could be a problem for many people. They might not see it as a, like you said, you might not see it as a talent that you can leverage. But I got to ask you this: think about all of the talents that you have, and then think about what it is that you do well, and how many other people are getting paid for what you do well. They've found a way to leverage their talents because they realize that, again, most people are just lazy in most other areas. It is what it is. Like, they pay for convenience. So today, Ryan and Rob helped me today when I was looking for a way to get this website mobile friendly. Ryan was the guy that I tapped into, and then he had a friend, and next thing you know, I'm getting the stuff done. I could literally probably go and do my website, right? I'm talented enough to be able to figure it out. It really is not that difficult, but I'm too lazy to focus on that particular area of my business. I got other things that I need to do with my time. So someone else has honed that skill. They can do it more proficiently than I can. And then guess what? They can charge me to do it. And I'm okay with that because there's things that I can do as well more proficiently than others. And I can charge for that. So think about some of the talents that you have that other people are getting paid for, and then find out, man, how do they leverage this skill? Now, you have a passion to help people, and I understand that. But guess what? That's going to cost some money too. Mm-hmm. And by anything that people are just getting for free, getting free help, that doesn't exist. I mean, you can get some free advice, but that's about it. All right, so cool, but hopefully that helps. I think that you have a lot of talents that you can leverage, man, and we can talk about that offline as well. But just think about some of the things that you currently do that other people getting paid for, and then you're like, hey, why can't I get paid for this as well? All right, so step number 8, guys, is you want to determine your goals. So now that you have figured out your competitive advantage, now you're in the process of taking this concept to developing this focused concept. Now you want to determine your goals. So the Apostle Paul in the Bible wrote a farewell letter to a group of people in the city of Ephesus. He warned them how important it was to make a difference in the world. Paul's message, he explains this: you yourselves know that these hands ministered to my own needs and to the men who were with me. And everything I showed you, that by working hard in this manner, you must help the weak, and remember the words of the Lord Jesus that said himself, is more blessed to give than to receive. So Paul wanted the people of Ephesus to understand the importance of hard work, but not simply for the sake of hard work or financial return. He wanted them to work hard so they could change lives. Let's repeat that again. He wanted them to work hard so they could change lives. Now, as you think about your idea, as you think about this concept that you want to bring to reality, now I want you to think about how is that going to change the lives of other people? How is it going to help them? Right? It's not just about helping you. You know, you're in business to make money. You're in business to make a profit. But now you want to think about how is this thing that I'm about to do or I want to create, how is it going to help them? How's it going to help other people? Why do you want to think about that? Well, once you can actually speak out how your business, your idea is going to help other people, that's your sales pitch. I'll repeat that again. Once you can figure out how your concept is going to help other people, that becomes your sales pitch. Ryan, got anything to say about that?
No.
All right.
Okay.
You really need the courage to begin the process. Now, Anthony's advice is don't wait another second to pursue something meaningful. You can find work that allows you to feed your family and still experience intrinsic fulfillment as you impact the world around you. One of the primary reasons people fail to make a career change is because their visions stop at simply earning enough to pay the bills. They get comfortable. Successful entrepreneurs see a problem they want to solve and they take action to solve it. They seek more than status quo, a mediocre life, or a job that simply pays the bills. They accept the challenge of entrepreneurship because something greater than profit drives them. So I want to ask you right now, what drives you? Now, I'm not sure if I have all entrepreneurs on the line. I think that I do, but even if not, this might be something that you just watch later on. What drives you? Yeah, I know, Ryan, your son, right? And probably your children, right? Your children drive you, right? They drive you to success. Your family drives you. That's what I don't really have a family, so really, your children drive me, right? I don't want your children to grow up not knowing the things that they should know financially because of the system that we live in. So your children drive me to do the things that I do. So that is absolutely fantastic, man. So what drives you? Now, by no means should you quit your job tomorrow, but you can begin preparing mentally today. Start by creating a 1, 2, or 3 year transition plan that supports your goal for making a difference in the world around you. Identify what's driving you and chase it. You don't have to sprint, but begin stepping toward your dream. Set a date, develop some metrics, create a plan of action, and pursue that goal. You'll get more guidance in the process along the way through this book. So here's the question that you want to ask yourself as you're determining your goals. What impact do you want to make? What impact do you want to make? So I want you to think about that right now. As you're thinking about your idea, this thing that you want to bring to reality, as we talked about the 7 steps prior to this one, now we're on step number 8, which is determining your goals. And the question you want to ask yourself is, what impact do you want to make? Whew. Now, for me, guys, and you guys can type that in the comments below. And Brian, I'm going to ask you that same question as you think about this music thing. I think that's the picture we're going to go with for this process. If you hang out with us along the way, what impact do you want to make with this, with your venture, with the music, with the play?
I want to revolutionize. I want to revolutionize the way that we see music, and how we. I don't want to create a Broadway play, but I want to be able to better visualize the way that we see a live show.
Yeah. Because
it's really hard for starving artists to make money because if we're local, people know us already. And so if I know you, I'm not going to pay you because I know you. But if I create a props and I put contact lenses, and if I dress up and put a concept to it, then people are willing to pay for that because they want to be entertained. Right. So I just want to change the way that the local show looks.
That's good stuff, man. So you want to change the way that the music works so that we can entertain in a way that pleases the masses but still allows the music to be heard.
That's right.
That's some awesome
and make money.
Man. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it, brother. I can see it.
Yeah.
So, same question for you guys that's in the comments below, man. What impact do you want to make? This is a vital question. And as I thought about my transition to entrepreneurship, that was the big question. You know, I was saying to myself, man, I no longer want to pursue just cold hard cash and money. I wanted to pursue significance. I wanted to pursue making a difference. And so that's why I do what I do. That's why I started what I do. And I found it to be a huge problem. And now the problem's so huge, I'm like, okay, we need some help. We need some help to tackle on this problem. So that was the thing that I wanted to do. And that's what helped me, even as I think about the things that I'm doing now. Answering this question helped me to solidify my business and my purpose for why I do my particular business. And so so that kind of brings us through the developing the focus concept process. And again, those 8 steps, that's what we went through in chapter 1, developing the focus concept. Establish your concept, discover your inspiration, align the concept to your core values, prepare to sacrifice, assess your motives, consider your qualifications, leverage your competitive advantages, and then determine your goals. One of the things that I'm working on now, guys, my next big project or one of the next ideas that I have is to create a service called the Exit Strategy. And so for all of those people who are like, I want to quit my job, but don't have a plan on how to do it, that's actually the next service that I'm creating. It's going to be another service that I'm offering through my business, the Exit Strategy. So, that's, I had one. I've actually had a couple of people that have actually had an Exit Strategy. Even though we didn't make it, we ended up quitting before the strategy was, we set our date, but we quit before the date. The point is that we had a plan and we followed that plan to the best of our ability, which has actually helped us to transition from our job to what we are doing now. And I believe I've got a strategy or a roadmap that can help other people that are in that same position. Like, I really just got to do something different, but they don't have a plan on actually how to do it. So that's one thing that I'll be working on over the upcoming weeks. But here's the deal, guys. This is our time, man. I'm going to stop right there. I typically will go through number 10, but that's going into the next chapter, which is measuring the concept value. Measuring the concept value. Just give you a taste. It says, don't wait another second to pursue something meaningful. We're going to get into the value of what you bring to the marketplace. So chapter 1 is complete. Again, we're going through execution pipeline, a step-by-step guide to turn your business idea from dreams to reality. By Anthony Flynn. I highly recommend you get this book, read along with us. It's going to help you as you are bringing new ideas to the world or to the marketplace. You can get it through my website. Of course, if I'm recommending it, why not get it through me if you're going to get it anyway? So you might as well do that. It's www.ergj.net. That's our time as far as recording. We'll stay on and have an after blab. But thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week.